Hello, my name is Roessel, and I'm here today to present the attachment table. A problem that I frequently saw in labs, both in high school and at my university, was clutter on the lab tables. There were always beakers and pipettes and papers and pencils scattered all across it. So, I set out to design a lab table that would decrease clutter, improve the functionality of the lab table, and by doing both of these things, embrace safety in the laboratory. The design I came up with used a series of magnets lined on the edges and the bottom of the lab table. This would allow for a series of equipment to be attached to the end of the lab table. This is great because the possibilities are literally endless. Any kind of equipment you can think of can easily be adapted to work with this attachment table and its magnets. I wanted to point out a couple of the possibilities for the attachments. In this picture, you can see one attachment is a test tube rack, which is attached to the side of the lab table. Having it here on the side of the lab table makes it so it's not in the middle of our workspace, in the middle of the lab table. It's also handy because there's no risk of it being knocked over because it is held securely by the magnets. On this end, you also have a clipboard and pencil holder. Anytime we're not using a clipboard or our notes or documenting anything, we can put our spiral notebooks or clipboards in this holder and keep it out of our workspace. And then on here I also want to point out the pair of tongs that are at the end. Any kind of metallic equipment that we use in the lab table can be attached to the side of the table and its magnets whenever we're not using it. Another possible attachment is a beaker holder. Anytime we're not using a beaker, we can put it here, or it can even be a beaker filled with distilled water, which is frequently used in the labs. Another attachment I thought of was the spill guard. Anytime students are working with hazardous chemicals, it can be used. Say a beaker was right here and it were to spill. The liquid would travel right here and get trapped in the spill guard. This is great for students who are handicapped because any kind of hazardous liquid will get trapped here and not fall into the laps of the handicapped student. Having the liquid get trapped in the spill guard gives this handicapped student enough time to back away safely. I also wanted to point out a couple things about the design of the attachment table. In this picture you can see two ways that the attachment table is embracing technology. One is by the use of hydraulically lifted legs that can be controlled with the press of a button. Another thing about this picture is its aluminum extrusion design. Aluminum extrusion is something that is high in industry right now because it is fast, easy, and cheap. I also designed the attachment table with a hollowed out aluminum structure. This reduces the material cost of the lab table and also makes the lab table lighter. In this picture, you can also see another example of its hollowed out aluminum extrusion design, and you can also see the up and down controls for the hydraulically lifted legs. And that is the attachment table, a revolutionary lab table that uses attachments and magnets to decrease clutter in the laboratory. It also makes the lab table a more functional piece of lab equipment. By taking all of these elements, the attachment table embraces safety in the laboratory and creates a more organized and productive workspace for students. That concludes this presentation of the attachment table. Thank you very much.